Hey y'all, welcome to Horrible Gaming. My name is Nora, and on today's video we are playing some Disney Dreamlight Valley. In today's speed build, I will be creating a maze using the new premium shop items that we just got with the recent rotation. Also, as we get started today, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like, subscribe, and notify button if you want to see more content like this in the future. It really does help me out. So my plan today is to do a small aesthetic maze in front of the Heart Castle, and this castle is from the premium shop. I got it a while ago and I never really knew what to do with it, so I'm super thankful that this new Alice in Wonderland set came in because I feel like it matches this so well. Also, as we get started on the main layout for today's speed build, I did want to mention that originally going into this build I was going to use the gold pathway, but later into the build I realized I really wasn't a fan of it. There was too many reflections going on, it just looked really dark for the maze, so I ended up swapping this actually to the basic brick that you get in the beginning of the game, so I do make that adjustment later in this video. I did want to disclaim that just because you will see the pathway change in the footage. This build today was really difficult for me since I don't really focus on structured and elegant core like builds, but I hope that it brings you some Disney Dreamlight Valley inspiration. Anyways, I'm going to work on the main layout of our maze and I'll see you in a couple of minutes after we get this done so we can start detailing the build too. So now that we got the first part of our maze done, I'm going to detail with some of the Toontown lamps. I believe I got these from the Star Path, and then we're going to try to make this build as functional as possible. So I'm going to be using 2 additional entryways on each side of our centerpiece. I felt like these were a great addition to our maze since we want to be able to obviously access the incline towards Dazzle Beach and also to Frozen Heights too. But another thing that I also wanted to mention is I wish I would have started building this closer to the edge of the river, because on each side of my maze I had this awkward space in between the edge of the biome and the river. So I feel like if you're recreating this to move this closer to the river, that way it's a little bit easier to decorate around these awkward areas. But again, I still think that the placement works too in case you want to be able to move around the maze without going inside of it. So far though, I think our maze is coming along nicely, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue working on the layout above our centerpiece, and then we're gonna go ahead and blend out the edges near the castle. I also wanted to disclaim at this point of the video, I did have a few crashes through the build, so there will be a couple of transitions just because I had to rebuild everything all over again. Sadly, with this recent update, I've been crashing so much more often on the game, and I'm hoping by next update it'll be completely fixed. I've also had an issue with items just completely disappearing when I'm building, like they'll just go completely invisible. So at some point during the video this also does happen, so just keep in mind that there is a few bugs through this video sadly today, and I'm really hoping we see a hotfix soon. Anyways, we're going to continue working on the main layout above our centerpiece, and then I'll go ahead and start placing my pathway and start detailing the build. So as mentioned earlier, Disney Dreamlight Valley has been crashing on me quite often with the recent update. So sadly, this crash resulted in some corrupted footage, but all I did was add some decor inside of our maze and place some pathing. Originally going into this build, I really wanted to use the gold pathway, but I just didn't like that there were so many shadows and reflections with it, so I ended up changing this to the regular gray brick pathing instead. But I do think that the gold matches with the castle really nicely, so definitely choose whichever you prefer the best. For the next stage of our build, I'm gonna work on the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, and then we're gonna detail on the other side of the castle. For the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, I do end up mixing up the chairs a little bit better later in the footage, but I wanted to stick to a color palette of pink and red to kind of match with the castle. And now that we have the layout done to our maze, we're gonna just focus on detailing this tea party, and then I'll also detail near the park ride too. There's honestly not that much left to do for this build, so I'll see you near the end of the footage when we do some overhead shots in the final walkthrough. After all my final details, here is how our finished Alice in Wonderland maze turned out. This build was definitely quite a challenge to make, but I hope it brought you some Disney Dreamlight Valley inspiration. This build also will not be staying on my valley because I actually need this location for a different build that I'm planning to do on my channel. However, if we do get Alice in Wonderland characters in a future update, I would love to turn my Forest of Valor into an inspired biome. I'm really excited though with how this build turned out today, and I hope it brought you some inspo. Before this video also ends, I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting me as a creator. Just your support in general means the world to me. Thank you so much for watching and have a horrible day. I'll see you next video.